I bet you didn't know this, but nearly 1 in 9 people over the age of 65 right now are living with Alzheimer's disease, and the most chilling part? Most of them don't even know it yet. Because dementia, it doesn't always show up like in the movies. It doesn't start with total memory loss or forgetting who your family is. No, it starts quietly. Sneaky. Subtle. Maybe you walk into a room and forget why. Maybe you lose your train of thought mid-sentence. You chalk it up to normal aging, right? But what if I told you, those tiny slips might be the early signs of something deeper? You see, dementia doesn't arrive overnight. It begins years, sometimes decades, before it's officially diagnosed. All the while, it's slowly changing the way your brain works, while you still feel mostly fine. That's why it's called a silent threat. It doesn't shout. It whispers. And millions of seniors just like you are missing those whispers every single day. And if you ignore these early signs, if you brush them off as just getting older, it might be too late to take control. But here's what no one tells you. Just because dementia is common doesn't mean it's inevitable. In fact, there are seniors, just like you, living into their 80s and 90s with sharper minds than they had in their 40s. They read. They remember. They learn new things. They thrive. They're called superagers, and their brains age differently. The wild thing? These folks aren't doing anything extreme. No magic pills. No fancy brain surgeries. What they are doing is following a few simple habits and watching out for early warning signs that most people ignore. And the first step, maybe the most powerful step, is knowing exactly what those early signs look like. Most doctors, they don't even bring it up until it's too late. But you deserve better than that. More than 90% of seniors have never been told this by their doctors. Why? Because early dementia signs don't look serious. They get written off as stress, fatigue, or just having a senior moment. But make no mistake, your brain is sending signals. It's trying to tell you something. And now, thanks to breakthrough research from places like Johns Hopkins and Harvard, we finally know what to look for, the little clues your brain leaves behind before things get worse. Today, I'm going to walk you through 5 early signs of dementia that most people never hear about, signs you should never ignore. Because the earlier you catch it, the more control you have over your memory, your independence, and your future. Number 1, subtle short-term memory loss. Let's start with the first early sign of dementia that often gets brushed off, and that's subtle short-term memory loss. Now, we've all had moments where we misplace our glasses or walk into a room and forget what we came in for. That's normal. Your brain is busy. You're thinking of a dozen things at once. But here's what's not normal. When this starts happening more often than before. When you begin forgetting conversations you just had, or repeating questions without realizing you already asked. When you can't remember something you just read, or why you even opened the fridge. According to the Mayo Clinic, early-stage dementia tends to affect recent memory first, not long ago memories like your wedding day or a childhood vacation. So if you can remember the name of your third-grade teacher but forget what your neighbor told you this morning, it might be time to pay closer attention. This kind of forgetfulness isn't just an annoyance. It's a clue. A quiet one. And many seniors ignore it, until it becomes impossible to miss. But if you catch it early, that's when lifestyle changes, cognitive support, and even certain brain-healthy habits can help you hold on to your independence and quality of life. So next time you forget something small, don't panic, just start noticing how often it's happening. That awareness alone can be your best line of defense. Number 2, difficulty finding words. Now, let's move to the second early sign of dementia, and this one might hit closer to home than you think. It's something called anomic aphasia, but don't let the fancy name fool you. It's simply that frustrating moment when the word you're trying to say is right there on the tip of your tongue, but you just can't find it. You know what you mean. You can picture it. But instead of saying microwave, you say that thing that heats stuff. Or you pause mid-sentence, trying to pull up a common word, and your brain just blanks. Now listen, everyone gets stuck searching for a word from time to time. That's normal, especially when you're tired or stressed. But when it starts happening more often, and with simple everyday words, it may be more than just senior moments. It could be your brain's language center struggling to retrieve information, and that's one of the early patterns doctors are now watching closely in cognitive decline. This isn't about sounding forgetful, it's about your brain's wiring starting to change, even if everything else feels fine. And here's the part most people don't know. This symptom doesn't always come with memory loss right away. You might feel mentally sharp otherwise, but your words just won't line up like they used to. If that sounds familiar, it's worth noticing. And here's a small tip, start jotting down when it happens. Keep a little notepad nearby or use your phone's recorder. Patterns over time matter, and they could be the difference between catching cognitive decline early and missing a critical window. Number 3, mood or personality changes. Now let's talk about something most people never connect to dementia, and that's mood or personality changes. Have you noticed yourself, or someone you love, just not acting like themselves anymore? Maybe you were always social, easygoing, calm. But now, you'd rather be alone. Conversations feel draining. Little things get under your skin. Maybe you've started feeling suspicious of people, even when there's no real reason. These aren't just bad days or mood swings. They can be early signs of cognitive changes in the brain, especially in areas that control emotional regulation, behavior, and judgment. One of the biggest red flags. When others notice before you do. A loved one might say, "You've been different lately." Or maybe they walk on eggshells around you when they didn't used to. It's not about blame. It's not about being grumpy or difficult. It's about recognizing that when your brain chemistry begins to shift, your mood often shifts with it, even before memory problems show up. Doctors used to ignore this. Now, they're starting to see it as one of the earliest behavioral clues that dementia may be quietly forming in the background. And the sooner you become aware of it, the sooner you can seek support, explore therapies, and make changes that protect your mental and emotional well-being. Number 4, trouble with planning or problem solving. Alright, let's move on to the 4th sign, one that creeps in slowly and often goes unnoticed, difficulty with planning or problem solving. You used to be the one who balanced the budget, planned meals, organized trips. But lately, a simple recipe might feel confusing. Following steps in order, like doing laundry or paying bills, might feel harder than it used to. Even keeping track of appointments or making decisions can feel overwhelming. Many seniors compensate without even realizing it. They start avoiding these tasks altogether, or rely heavily on others. But here's the truth. These subtle changes in mental organization are often early markers of brain function decline, specifically in the areas responsible for executive thinking. It's not about intelligence. It's not about effort. It's about how clearly your brain can plan, sequence, and stay focused. And when dementia is beginning, those areas of the brain, often the frontal lobes, are among the first to show signs. If you find yourself giving up on things you used to enjoy simply because they feel too complicated, that's your cue to pause and take note. And here's a gentle reminder, it's not weakness to ask for help. It's strength to be proactive, especially when it comes to your brain health. Number 5, misjudging time or place. And finally, the 5th early sign, and this one catches people off guard more than any other, confusion about time or place. Maybe you wake up and don't know what day it is, that happens sometimes. But with early dementia, it goes deeper. You might find yourself unsure of what month it is, or even what season. You might get lost going somewhere you've been 100 times before, your favorite grocery store, or your best friend's house. And here's the tricky part. You might still recognize faces, and you might even know your address, but your internal sense of orientation starts to fade. Most people think this kind of disorientation only happens in the later stages of dementia. But studies now show it can actually appear in the earliest stages, and it's one of the most important signs to take seriously. Because when you lose track of time and location, your safety and independence are at risk. Driving becomes dangerous. Walking alone can lead to panic. Even managing your day-to-day routines can become stressful without you realizing why. So if you've ever found yourself sitting in your car, unsure of how you got there, or staring at a calendar feeling completely disconnected from the date, don't just shrug it off. This is your brain asking for support. And it deserves your attention. Let's take a moment to pull it all together, because sometimes, just hearing these signs in one clear list can help it click. Here are the 5 early signs of dementia you must never ignore. Number 1, subtle short-term memory loss, not forgetting childhood events, but struggling with what just happened a few minutes ago. Number 2, difficulty finding the right words, when familiar names or simple objects suddenly feel just out of reach. Number 3, mood or personality changes, withdrawing, irritability, or behaving in ways that feel unlike you. Number 4, trouble with planning or problem solving, when following a recipe, organizing your day, or managing money becomes frustrating or confusing. Number 5, misjudging time or place, feeling disoriented in familiar surroundings, or losing track of dates and daily routines. Now, here's what I want you to remember most. Even if you've only noticed one of these signs, and even if it's subtle, that's your cue to act. Because the earlier you spot them, the more you can do to slow things down, protect your brain, and stay independent longer. This isn't about fear, it's about taking your health into your own hands while you still have the power to make meaningful changes. And believe me, your brain, just like your body, has an amazing capacity to adapt when you give it the right care. You know, aging doesn't have to mean losing yourself. It doesn't have to mean slipping away slowly, one forgotten word or foggy morning at a time. Because here's the truth most people never hear loud enough. Your brain can still grow, adapt, and strengthen, even in your 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. But that only happens if you stay informed, if you stay curious, and if you choose to pay attention to the quiet signals your body and mind are giving you. Too many seniors wait until it's too late. But not you. You've just taken a huge step by learning these 5 early signs of dementia, and that means you're ahead of the curve. Now I want to ask you something personal. Which of these signs surprised you the most? Was it the trouble finding words? Was it the mood changes? Or maybe, you started thinking about someone close to you, a spouse, a neighbor, a friend, who's showing one or more of these signs already. We want to hear your story. Seriously, scroll down to the comments and let us know. What have you noticed about your own memory or mood? Or, do you know someone who defies their age, still sharp, vibrant, full of life? We read every single comment, because this is more than a video, it's a conversation, a community. And that's exactly what we're building here at Thriving Age Tip. If this video helped you, or opened your eyes to something you hadn't considered, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone you care about. We post new tips every week on how to live with strength, clarity, and confidence, no matter your age. Because here, we believe that every year of life should be your strongest yet. This is Thriving Age Tip, and we're so glad you're with us on this journey.